What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the program. Today, I have James the Hurricane Huffman joining me ahead of his pro debut at RCS 21 on August 16th. He'll be taking on Noah Kiszka. James, welcome to the program. Appreciate the time this evening.
Thanks for having me.
We are breaking new ground here with you. You are a guy that has been fighting in the area for many, many years, and you've been gone away. You've been away for a couple years. Now we're here getting ready to make a pro debut. Can you tell me a little bit about just kind of what led up to this moment? What's been happening with you behind the scenes?
Oh man, that is quite a loaded question. So the original plan was that I was going to fight like at the beginning of 2024, right after my fight with Addison Hendry, which was my last fight. It was a title defense with Titans of the Cage. And, I took a bit of bumps and bruises in that fight. Anybody who haven't watched that fight, go check it out on YouTube. Addison Hendry versus James Huffman. Anyway, so the original plan was fight in 2024. I actually wanted to fight with Rocket that year. But long story short, it was a combination of like injuries and, a lot of personal stuff that was going on that kind of really kept me from getting back into the cage, made me take a little longer than I would have liked. But, this year it finally hit, I started really trying to hammer it, get a fight. But, it just seemed like I was struggling to get anything anywhere up until, Rowan announced that fight. And literally the same day that Rowan announced his title fight with Alan Stevenson, I immediately hit him up about getting on that card. I don't know if I was one of the first, but, like if I was the first, but I know I was one of the first to hit him up about the pro fight immediately after. So just been training, coaching, trying to stay in shape, trying to stay ready just in case I have anything pop up last minute.
James, when you go and do the Tapology scrub on you, you're a guy that stands out on paper for a lot of reasons. And I think it's pretty incredible the amount of fights that you have. Only gotten a decision one time. Like, you're a guy that goes out there, you approach fights really different. You're going out there, you're hunting for these finishes, man. Like, judges are not required for your fights. I think that's super rare for somebody with that amount of experience. I want to just ask you, like, your mentality, your approach to these fights. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, I mean, well, it kind of started, just childhood thing, really. Like I always grew up learning that, hey, if you really want something, you got to go and get it. And, sometimes you're going to take bumps and bruises along the way. And, sometimes it plays out well. And I guess in this case, I would say it played out pretty well. As you've looked on my Tapology, I got a few losses on there. I'm not going to hide that. But, I fought some pretty good guys back in the day. And, including one of the guys that eventually ended up fighting on the Dana White Contender Series. So I never really ducked anybody. I took a lot of the hard fight. Some of the fights I probably should have waited on because back with the experience I had back then, I took some guys I wasn't quite ready for. But, yeah, as far as the mentality, I always look at it as put everything into that fight so that way you leave with absolutely no regrets whatsoever.
You've accomplished a lot in this sport. You've won amateur belts. You've beat a lot of the who's in the DMV. What's making you go out there at this stage of your life to go out there and like make this pro debut? Because you're a guy, you're in your early 30s now, and then like most guys making their pro debuts, they're these young killers that are 23, 24 years old. What is compelling you to go out there? Are you trying to prove something to anyone?
I would say really, just trying to, not only prove some of the people that prove some people wrong, from my childhood, but also to kind of prove myself wrong because, I'll admit, like when I was younger, I had a lot of issues with confidence, and you can kind of see that in some of my earlier fights. Like I was never really super confident in my skill, and one thing I've learned over the years that, like, again, if you really, really want something, you have to go out there and just take it. Um, and that's pretty much it.
You signed on the dotted line for RCS 21. We had one opponent lined up, and unfortunately, that one just doesn't come to fruition. There's the announcement on the RCS Instagram page that says, "Hey, this fight's off," and we'll see what ends up happening. Were you nervous at all about finding another opponent? Can you tell me a little bit, like what happened behind the scenes when you found out your initial opponent dropped off, and were you kind of anxious for a little bit?
Yeah, I was definitely a bit anxious. I'm not gonna lie. Especially because I've been training really hard for this fight. Not to mention, like I knew who I had in front of me, and Sandro is actually a really tough guy. He actually made his debut the same night that I came back from an ACL tear. Actually, I was fighting in the main event that same night against trying to remember his first name. It's Bryce something Heathcock. I know that it's on Tapology, but once he dropped off, I was a bit worried at that point because like. One thing I've noticed, like in the past, at least in my case, I've had a hard time like replacing opponents, especially like in such short notice. So shout out to Noah for stepping up on short notice. Like I saw he was also looking for a fight, was having a hard time getting one. So good to see that there are guys that are still step up short notice. Yeah, I actually got hit up. I think it was less than 10 hours after that, by Roland about this guy. And I actually had a couple other offers too, but we ultimately ended up settling on Noah. I think it'll be a good, fun fight. Win or lose, this will be a fun one.
Can you tell me a little bit about Noah? Like, obviously, he's like that new generation of MMA fighter that's showing up. Like, you've been in this game long enough. You've seen people come and go. And I think you would agree with me. The sport's evolving, and he seems to be that sort of like prototypical young fighter that's probably going to accomplish a lot in his MMA career. Like, what are some of the things that you see when you look at this guy?
Well, I can definitely say this. He's very tenacious. Like, he is just constantly forward, 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 forward. Like, he rarely deviates from his game plan. And if he does, it's usually within good reason. Again, this guy is just constantly forward. Like, he's a guy that I can tell definitely does not run away from the fire, but jump straight into the fire. Really good wrestling, really good grappling. Very like top heavy from what I've noticed. So, he definitely knows how to put the pressure on, again, and guys like that are fun to fight.
Noah talked a lot about your experience, and he said he respects you a lot, to paraphrase. But he was like, "My opponent has a lot of experience. This is a guy that goes out there and he's a gamer, and I'm expecting to see the best of him. But I'll be ready." And for you, when you just kind of look at this kid and kind of see what he's about, you're taking this matchup because you see something that you like. You see something that's like, that's my pathway to victory. I'm not going to ask you too much what that is, but I will ask you, like, just in general, where do you feel you have the biggest advantage over him?
That's honestly a good question. I mean, I wouldn't really say there's anywhere super strong. Like, I don't want to give away too much, like, what the game plan is. I would kind of spoil it, obviously. But, I've seen a couple things here and there that I think I can exploit. With that said, a guy like him is going to be very hard to exploit. Again, he's very explosive, very talented. Not to mention he looks really strong from what I've seen in his fights too. So, if I'm going to catch him, I'm going to have to play it smart with this guy. That's for sure.
James, like, there's no secret about you. Like, your finishing rate, it speaks for itself. We know what we know you're a shark. We know that you're a great grappler. And a lot of guys have struggled against you in the grappling department when you take these fights there. Could we expect to see that being a major part of your game plan, or do you have some surprises cooked up for us?
Well, you could say I might have some surprises. A lot of people weren't expecting some of the stuff I used in my last fight. So, like, just because I have a primary game doesn't mean that I don't have tricks up my sleeve. I mean, it's kind of hard not to have tricks up your sleeve when you've been in the game as long as I have. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I won't do what I normally do, but at the same time, don't be surprised if you see something you haven't seen from me before.
James, you go out there, you take care of business, you get that pro debut, that first professional victory under your name. What would that mean for you at this point in your career, and kind of what's next for James Huffman?
So pro win would obviously be amazing, especially because I got a whole bunch of people coming to this fight. That was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to really make sure that I got a fight here. Because I had too many people already taking time off to come watch me fight. Especially because it's been a few years since I last fought. Because again, the original plan was supposed to be a couple months later. Obviously that didn't pan out. So obviously a win would be great not only for myself but for my gym as well. As for what's next, I mean, I'd be lying if I said I have a whole lot of years left, but I'm not a spring chicken when it comes to fighting. But at the same time, like, I'm just kind of seeing where things go. Like, I'd like to be able to fight at least once on one of the big stages, whether that's the PFL, the UFC, wherever that is. And if I get there, cool. If not, that's great too. I'm not, going to hang my head too low on it because I've already succeeded expectations with according to a lot of people that I've talked to in my past.
James, tell me a little bit about these folks that are coming to this event at RCS 21. Guys like you, they build up like a following. People watch your fights for a really long time, and now they're gonna like bear witness to like this professional debut that you're about to have. And you already mentioned some of the sacrifices these folks are making to come out and watch you perform. Like, who are some of these people that are some of your biggest supporters?
Well, obviously a lot of people from my gym, of course, a lot of my students that I train, Monday to Wednesday that I mentioned are my busiest days. I actually teach a beginner striking and a beginner grappling class. And, a couple of them have been with me for a few years and, they've been wanting to watch me fight for a while now. Keep asking me constantly, like, when are you going to make your pro debut? When are you going to make your pro debut? It's not just them, but, also, like my wife, some of my friends and family. And I even got people traveling from out of the state, like all the way up from like Pennsylvania coming down to watch me fight. So, again, just because I got so many people already on there, like it would have been an absolute criminal if I did not fight at this point, especially with people coming from so far away.
Well, we're very much looking forward to RCS 21. Very much looking forward to your upcoming bout. And I'm going to turn it over to you. If there's anyone out there that you'd like to thank, any coaches, training partners, anyone that you'd like to thank at all, now's the time.
So shout out to obviously my whole gym, Mastering MMA. Shout out to Lee Schwecker. He's the head coach for Mastering MMA. Back in 2020, when COVID hit, our gym got shut down completely. And if not for him bringing it back to life, we wouldn't even have a gym to train at in this area today. And he brought us from being in a little barn in his backyard to being in a nice facility to where we are now. Arguably one of the best gyms in our particular area. Also, shout out to Blake Daniels. He's on Instagram, so everybody curious, go follow him. I've been working with him a lot, and Cesar Guerrero, teammates there. I've also worked with Chris Rollins as well, so shout out to him for helping me prepare for this fight.
Well, James, thank you very much for the time this evening. I wish you the best of skill at RCS 21. I'll see you at the event.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me.